the fuel price is going to feature as the conflict continues in the Middle East. With me is a former Speaker in the House of Reps, member for Fisher, Andrew Wallace, and it's clear that this is where the coalition will go. People are hurting at the petrol bowser already, but the minister's adamant the supply is there. It's where it is, basically, where it was before the conflict started.
Well, I would encourage the Minister, Chris Bowen, to pick up the phone and talk to my Fisher people, my fishermen on the Sunshine Coast at the Mooloolaba Wharf. Heidi Walker rang me from Walker Seafoods yesterday and said they are out of diesel. Zero. They have no access to any diesel on the wharves whatsoever. They've contacted the suppliers, not even a promise of it'll arrive in such and such days. Out of diesel and no opportunity as to when they're going to get it. What that means is that business, along with 50 employees, or 50 businesses, I should say, 50 other businesses on that wharf, can't go to sea. That means...
So someone's holding back the supply, even because the minister's saying we have the supplies in Australia. David Littleproud was on the program earlier saying he believes the big four companies, the suppliers, are holding it back.
Well, this is the same minister that promised us $275 price reductions in our electricity prices. I don't trust Chris Bowen. I don't think he knows what he's doing. And I think Australians are finally waking up to this bloke that he is absolutely clueless about his portfolio. You can't turn around and say, as he did in question time last week, there's 34 days of diesel supply. We're 9 days into this conflict, and now critical industries like farming, agriculture and fisheries can't do their job because they don't have access to diesel. How can he seriously stand up today and say, this is not a supply issue?
So let's change focus. The government is supporting the UAE, sending a Wedgetail surveillance aircraft. Is that a good thing? And missiles, and some 80-plus personnel.
Look, I'm going to give a cautious tick to this. And when I say a cautious tick to this, the Wedgetail is an incredible piece of kit. It's a well sought after and very, very capable piece of equipment. It is going into a war zone. It needs to be located within, I won't say the distance, but within a certain distance of the conflict to be able to do its job. What that does is it puts...
So it's not without danger.
It puts it and more importantly, its crew at risk. There are certain countermeasures that it has on board, but what I would like to know is what defensive mechanisms and measures are the government putting in place to keep that crew safe. It is going into a hot war zone. We've already seen, unfortunately, a number of US service people being killed by their own. And we know that this is a theatre which is growing by the day. So there's no area that is safe if you are flying over the Middle East right now. So I'd like to know what protections are in place for that crew. And also another issue is in relation to the air-to-air missiles. Now, it is beyond doubt that Australia is light on with our own stores and inventory of munitions right now today. Now, we are sending an undisclosed number of air-to-air missiles over there. We don't know how many. We don't know the compatibility between our missiles and whatever Air Force is going to be using them because, according to the Prime Minister, we're not sending the means to deliver those munitions. So how are they going to be delivered? By what aircraft? And are they, in fact, compatible?
What about the granting of the asylum visas, the humanitarian visas? Do you support that for the 5 members of the Iranian footy team?
Well, I'm once again going to give a cautious tick to this because I think it's important that we provide that avenue to these women, and hopefully the whole team and the support structure around them will also apply for these humanitarian visas. The only question mark I have, and that's a matter of national security, Tony Burke stood up today and said that he's spoken with Mike Burgess, the Director-General of ASIO, and cleared it with him that these 5 individuals did not represent a security risk. Now, Kieran, you know I've been on the deputy chair of the PJCIS for several years. We've seen this before where the government's allowed some 1,900 visas for people coming out of Gaza. ASIO had to mop up the government's mess because people came in without appropriate checks and security checks. The reality is ASIO is not going to be able to do a thorough assessment on an individual in 24 hours. So I think Tony Burke needs to stand up today and explain what checks have been done by ASIO on these 5 individuals. Look, in principle, I want to see these women protected. Of course, I don't want them to go back to Iran, but equally we need to make sure that whoever we give these humanitarian visas to are appropriate people, they share our values and they're not going to turn around and do us harm.
Andrew Wallace, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kieran.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.